What's up guys, it's me Cade Wade, and I'm going to be doing a ranking video today. But not just any ranking video, I'm going to be doing a tier list.
How original.
Now, yeah, I know, not the most original thing in the world, but I'm going to do it anyway. I've been playing Mario Kart World for about close to a month now, and I think I've had enough time to really think about the track selection in this game, which I think is overall very solid. But I want to rank all the tracks, what I like about them, what I don't like about them, and see how they compare to each other. Just a little clarification before we start. The way I'm going to be judging these tracks is based off the traditional 3-lap structure, which essentially means that I won't be counting the free roam versions or the intermissions. Those will not be included in my judging of these tracks. It's just simply racing them on 3 laps. And I'm going to be judging them based on their look, their layout, how fun they are to drive, as well as a few other factors. But without further ado, let's get to the ranking. This is my Mario Kart World Tracks tier list. Starting off the list, we have Mario Bros. Circuit. And overall, I think this is a pretty solid track. You know, it's a little different from the other circuit tracks. The Radiator Springs Route 66 aesthetic really kind of makes it stand out from the other circuit tracks, because those were just like, you know, normal raceways, and they didn't really have a whole lot to stand out from all the others. But this one I think is pretty solid. You know, it does its job at introducing the game's mechanics like wall riding and rail grinding. Rail grinding. And I think it does a pretty good job of introducing the game's new mechanics like wall riding and rail grinding. Blah! And I think it does a good job of introducing the game's new mechanics of rail grinding and wall gliding. It's pretty good, you know, not the craziest thing in the world, but it definitely is more unique compared to the other, you know, circuit tracks. So I give it a solid B. Pretty good. Next up, Crown City, and I forgot to mention this earlier, but I'm going to do something a little different. The tier list I chose has both Crown City and Peach Circuit separated into 2 versions, but for this list I decided to just combine both of them into just one version, just so everybody is happy about it. But Crown City, that one, I think it's fine. It's not too exciting. Like, it has some cool, you know, set pieces, and it has some cool parts here and there, like, you know, shooting out of the canyon and riding on the buildings, and, you know, grinding on the rails, and they have these construction equipment things that are lifting up pieces, and you drive on those, and those are pretty cool. But overall, it kind of suffers from like the city track syndrome from Mario Kart Tour, where it's not a bad track, it's perfectly fine for what it does. It just doesn't really do a whole lot to be that interesting. I do like that it is like a different lap for each race. I think that is pretty cool, but besides that, you know, it's a fine, serviceable track. It's not bad, but it's fine enough. I think it's fine in being C tier. Next up, Whistle Stop Summit. This one is actually, you know, really fun to play on. Like, I love the train aesthetic and going up the mountain and going back down. It actually has some pretty cool shortcuts in it, which I was surprised by personally, because like some of these are pretty hard to do, but they save a lot of time. There's one near the end, and that one took me a lot of tries to do, but I think it is one of the best shortcuts in the game. Besides that, I think the music is pretty great. I like the train. I think I already said that. Oh man, this video is going to be a mess. But yeah, it's a pretty good track. Does a lot more to stand out than what Crown City did. I think it's pretty good. I think it's a solid B tier. DK Spaceport. Now guys, this is a pretty cool track. It's a lot longer. I think it's like 6 laps.
That's quite big. Impressive.
But the idea of taking like the first level from Donkey Kong and making it a racetrack, I think personally that's one of the best ideas they've had for this game. And I think the execution was really well done. There's lots of different ways to go about it. Like, it is a pretty linear track, but you could go through different ways. Like, you can grind rails, there's some paths you can cut through with mushrooms, and you can do some crazy stuff, like the theming and the music and the obstacles and the wall riding. I think it's all really well done. Definitely creeping up there as one of my favorites. But yeah, it's a solid A tier. Moving on, we have Desert Hills. This one, I think it's a fine track, you know, nothing too crazy. I like the characters from Super Mario Land got to make an appearance in this one, which I wholeheartedly appreciate that. But I think it's a pretty solid track. Like, it has those guys over there on that one corner, and later on the track they run after you. And then you have the rolling dune hills you gotta do jumps over, and then when you get to near the end, there's a bunch of paths you can take, and I think that really opens up to you know, what you could do with this track, because I feel like this is one of those tracks where it's up to you on whether or not you want to go traditional or just discover some crazy stuff. And overall, it's not a bad track. It's pretty good, pretty good. I think I'd give it a solid B. Shy Guy Bazaar. Now, no question about it, S tier. Like, this is an S tier track. Like, I already liked Shy Guy Bazaar from the 3DS version, but the fact that they incorporated a lot of elements of Daisy in there, like her palace is there, I think that is great. And if we were judging this on free roam or the intermissions, there's literally an intermission, like most of the intermissions are just bleh, but you know, there's one of them, and I can't remember specifically which one it was, but when you drive to Shy Guy Bazaar from one of those intermissions, you can drive through Daisy's castle, which, like, I am so surprised they didn't make that into a track, but I'm getting a little off topic. Like, Shy Guy Bazaar, you know, it's a great track, it's really iconic, and they added a lot of cool paths in this one. Like, I was so happy playing this, because, like, it's just so much fun, and it has great music, great aesthetics. I love the Arabian Night settings. I'm a sucker for those. So I think it's just a really great track. Lots of routes to take, and it's pretty fun. So solid S tier. Wario Stadium. I might be a little controversial saying this. I'm not the biggest fan of this track. Like, it's too short for me. Like, and I get it. Like, you know, it's a Wario track. You know, everybody likes the Wario tracks, and like, I like it too, but I don't know, I just think it's a little short compared to the other ones. I don't think it's bad thematic wise or music wise, because, like, you know, it's a pretty good track. It's pretty solid, but I just wish it could have been longer. It has some great shortcuts, don't get me wrong. I don't know. I'm not too sure how to feel about it yet. I don't hate it. I need to make that clear. I don't hate this track. I just think that comparing it to the other tracks, there's a whole lot better ones out there that just outdo it. So, this might make some people mad. I'm putting it in C tier, but I want to make it clear I don't hate the track. I just think there's a whole lot better tracks that are better than this one. It's not bad. Just want to make that clear. Put up the barbed wire fence, because a lot of people are going to be pretty mad at me. Moving on before I have my head on a pike. Next up is Airship Fortress. This is a S tier track again. Like, it's already a classic track from the DS game. It has great music. The idea of racing on an airship is just great, and they really did a whole lot too. Like, there's some crazy shortcuts too. Like, that shortcut at the beginning when you can skip the left turn, that's one of my favorite shortcuts to do, because it is just so satisfying to pull off. It's really great. Lots of tight turns, going around and down the building near the end. That's a great part as always. They changed the ending a little bit, because where originally a part of the track was just, you know, gone, but now there's an off-road section, which I don't mind too much. Like, that's an alright change, I think, but overall, it's still just as fun as ever as it is to play on, and I think it's a really great track. I think it's an S tier track. Next up is DK Pass. Now, this one, I think I like this one. This one, it's one of those snowy tracks, and I'm a sucker for some snowy tracks, but I think it's a pretty good one. You know, going up a mountain, like on the roads, gives me like Shroom Ridge vibes and stuff, and the snowballs crashing down trying to chase you is fun. I think they did a pretty good, solid job for the most part, keeping most of the tracks layout as it was, and there's a whole bunch of new paths to take. Well, not a whole lot. Like, there's a couple crazy paths you can take, which I think makes it, you know, a really fun track to race on. It can be pretty fun. So I think it's a solid B. Solid B. Starview Peak. Now, this one has grown on me a lot too. As one of the newer tracks, I think it's definitely one of the ones that stand out more. You know, everybody likes Rosalina. They like the Rosalina tracks. Well, depending on who you ask, some people either love or hate Rosalina's Ice World. I'm personally a fan that likes it, but I'm getting off topic. This isn't about Rosalina's Ice World. This is about Starview Peak. And I think it's a pretty great track. Really love the theming and the music. It's so serene and soothing. The water section is pretty cool. The water physics in this game, I'm trying to get used to them. I haven't fully got it down yet, but you know, I feel like once I get used to them, I'll have a lot more fun racing on them than what I do now. But I think it's a great track. I love the layout. The two paths to take gets really steep too. And then racing on the water is just so fun and relaxing. And then the glider section going back in, you know, pretty simple track, but I think the theming really helps bring it up a couple points. So I put it in a A tier. I think it's pretty good. Sky High Sunday. Talk about the glow up of the century. Sky High Sunday was one of those tracks where people in Mario Kart 8 were like, it's just an oval. It's nothing too crazy. Not a whole lot of paths you could take. I personally like Sky High Sunday, but I can't deny that this version in Mario Kart World is definitely the best version. It has so many more paths to take. There's so many crazy shortcuts you can do. There's the ones where you're grinding on the walls near the diverging pathway, and it's so much fun to do. And then there's that crazy shortcut where you can jump on the wall near the second big turn, and it's one of my favorite shortcuts to do. I think it's so much fun. But, you know, it's just as colorful and delicious and tasty as it always is. And I think it definitely got a glow up that definitely brought it up from like what was just like a C or maybe a B if you were in a good mood. But now it's definitely a solid A. Wario Shipyard. Now this one, I love the theming of this one. They changed this one a lot from the original, where the original you would go underwater, but in this one you don't. And that's probably a bit of a controversial part on some people, but I personally don't mind it too much. I wasn't really that big a fan of it, but you know, this version I definitely have warmed up to it. There's a lot of paths you can take. There's some crazy shortcuts, which, you know, this game in a nutshell is just basically crazy shortcuts, and that's what I love about it so much. The theming is great, the music's great, so many great parts. There's the part where you get on the grind rail and you can skip a whole lot. Like, I think it's a pretty good, solid track. I think I'd put it in a solid B. Solid B. I know that might seem a little low to some people, but I don't know. This is kind of how I'm feeling about it being a B. But I'm curious to see what you guys think about the track. And now we have the track that is probably one that made people the most disappointed. Koopa Troopa Beach. I'm just going to be blunt here, guys. This is going in a solid F tier. Like, it's just a circle.
Oh my god, bro. Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck?
Like, there's barely any new shortcuts you can do on it. Like, I mean, the music's fine. It looks fine. You know, it's fine. But, like, when you have so many other crazy tracks, it's like, why'd you pick the circle? It makes Sky High Sunday, Mario Kart 8 Sky High Sunday look better by comparison, because, like, it's just a circle. Like, there's not a whole lot to do. So, I'm sorry. I don't think a whole lot of people will disagree with me on this choice, but I'm putting it in F tier. I don't think it's a garbage track, but, like, they could have done a whole lot more with it. Like, they could have gone backwards like how they did in Tour, but no.
No.
Faraway Oasis. This was one that I didn't know how to feel at first, because, like, it's basically just like, you know, an animal resort kind of thing. Like, it has like those African vibes. Like, I don't know why I get like Madagascar vibes from this. I can't move it anymore. I don't know. I've been watching those movies recently, so I don't know, maybe it's just on my head when I thought about it, but overall, I thought it was a pretty good track. There's a crazy shortcut in there with the rail, and you can grind over by that water section. I think that's great, but I think it's a solid track, a pretty solid track, you know, nothing too crazy. I think it's a solid B. My thoughts may change on it in the future. I probably have to race on it a couple more times just to see, like, you know, what my feelings are on it later, but as of now, it's a B tier. And now, this is the beach track that everybody would want to play on, Peach Beach. Now, I already like playing this one. I played the Mariokart Wii version a lot when I was a kid, so when I saw this track was being remade for this game, I was like, oh yeah, I could tell I'm going to like this one. But what I didn't expect was that they added 2 whole brand new sections, and it's a different lap every time, and it's a new route for every different lap, and it was so surprising to me. Is like, they didn't have to do that. Like, it got the Calamari Desert treatment. Like, they didn't have to do that, but they did, and we got to see a whole new part of the track we never got to see, and I think that was really nice they did that. And I think, honestly, it brings it up so much, because, like, I love this track already a lot, but what they did with it, I honestly would feel pretty confident in putting it in S tier. I think it's a great track, and I love that they added a whole lot of new stuff with it, and you know what, I'm pretty certain on my choice for that. It's an S tier. Salty Speedway. This track made me salty because it sucks. I'm just kidding, it's not that bad. It's actually a pretty good track. The water physics in the game, like I said, I'm still getting used to them, so I don't know, I just find it a little awkward to race on this track sometimes, and it's not really, you know, a track that's kind of does a whole lot. Like, it kind of suffers the Crown City aspect, where it's like, oh, well, it's like a port now, but, you know, that's it. Like, it has more stuff going for it. Like, I get, you know, Italy vibes, like Venice vibes. Like, I could just see Mario and Luigi just floating on a boat down the river, and they're just, you know, singing some old Italian folk songs, and I think it's, you know, pretty nice. It has the nice vibes. I think the vibes save it from being like a C tier. So I don't think it's a C tier. I think it's probably like a maybe B. I'll put it in B, because, like, you know, it's not a bad track. It's not the craziest track, but it has some redeeming aspects, and I think that's, you know, perfectly fine with me. Dino Jungle. Now, this track got another one of the biggest glow ups, because, like, people already like Dino Jungle, but they made it Jurassic Park. Jurassic Park is in Mario, and that makes me happy. I like that movie, and just seeing, like, all the dinosaurs.
I'm a dinosaur!
Just running around on the track, and, you know, the laboratory vibes, and it still has some pretty cool shortcuts, and honestly, you know, I really like this track. I think it's one of the most coolest tracks in the game, and I think it's a solid S tier. I'm putting it in S tier. I don't care. Great Skyblock Ruins.
Hey guys, Editing Kate here. As I was editing this, I realized I said Great Skyblock Ruins instead of Great Block Ruins. So forgive my little oopsie there. I am so tired right now.
Another track that, honestly, I'm putting it in S tier too. Like, let's just get all the S tiers in here, baby, because, like, this track is just so phenomenal. Like, it surprised me when I played it, because it has a great idea, like a big, giant skyblock temple in the sky, and there's so many routes to take. Like, it has one of the most craziest shortcuts in the whole game, and it's just so fun to pull off. It's so satisfying. I love everything about it. Love the theming, love the music. It's fast-paced, it's exciting, there's lots of great routes. S tier all around, I have no complaints. Cheap Falls. Now, in the trailer, when I saw there was like a Japan setting track, I was like, ooh, I wonder what that would be. And when I found out it was Cheap Falls, I was like, ooh, I'm curious to see what this track is. And when I first played it for the first time, I was a little iffy about it because, you know, I was still getting used to the water physics. Still am, as a matter of fact, but, you know, as of now, I think it's a really good track. Like, I love the whole aesthetics and the music. That music is great, and it's just fun to race down the river streams and tricking off the logs. Like, that part is really fun, and I really like it. But besides me getting used to the water controls, you know, it's a good track. It's a really good track. I put it in A tier. Dandelion Depths. This was another track that I think is a pretty good track, you know. It's nothing too crazy. The only real memorable part of the track is like going down into the depths, which, you know, give the name Dandelion Depths, makes sense that that would be the centerpiece of your track. But I don't think it's a bad track. I think it's a pretty good track, pretty solid to race on. It can be pretty hectic and exciting, just tricking on the water and then speeding up on out of there on the boost panels. I think it's a really good track. Solid B tier. Boo Cinema. Boo Cinema is one of those tracks that when everybody first saw it, they were like, what is that? And when I first played it, I'm like, I'll tell you what it is. It's an A tier track, that's what it is. Because like, I really love the idea. It has great theming, it being a movie theater, and it being booze. Like, and I love booze, so that made me go, ooh, it gets me tingling up there. But, you know, I really like that, and it's a fun track to race on. Like, racing on the film reel is just so much fun. It's a pretty good track. I wish it was a little longer. I wish we could have stayed in the movie a little longer. But besides that, I don't think it's a bad track. I think it's a really great track. And it was close to being S tier, but I'm going to put it in A tier. Dry Bones Burnout. This was one that I didn't race on a whole lot before making this video. So I decided to race on it a little more. And it made me realize there's a lot to this track. Like, it has a lot of different shortcuts and different places and paths to take. And it made me realize, you know, this track is actually, you know,
Really good.
like, it's a really solid track. I love the Dry Bones theming and gliding into the mouth or going up on his head and the different paths you take. And it's, the theming is great. I love me some lava tracks, and I just think it's a great track. And I've said great track like 1,000 times in this video. Like, it's ridiculous. But, you know, what else can I say? It's a great track, and it's definitely, in my opinion, worthy of an S tier. Moo Moo Meadows. This track is a very nostalgic one for me. I'm a Mario Kart Wii baby, so, you know, I have a lot of nostalgic bias towards that. But, this track in particular, it kind of hurt me to put it this low, but I'm gonna put it in C tier. Like, hear me out. Hear me out. A lot of people love this track. I like this track too. But when I look at it in the grand scheme of the whole game, it's kind of just more of like a more elaborate circle. Like, Koopa Troopa Beach did like the bare minimum, whereas this track, it does one step more, because like, it has the cow and farm theme going for it. The music is great as always. It looks great. It's not a bad track, and they added some new shortcuts here and there, which I appreciated. But, you know, comparing it to the other tracks, it's just not as crazy. Like, it's more simple, easygoing track.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Which, you know, is perfectly fine. Like, it's okay to have those every now and then, but I feel like, you know, like how Peach Beach got the different routes for each lap thing, I feel like they probably could have done something for Moo Moo Meadows. Like, you know, go into some of the barns, or maybe go through some different animal pastures or something. Like, they could have done a little more than this track. Like, I'm fine with it as is. I don't hate it. I like it, but, you know, I gotta put it in C tier. Sorry. Next up is Choco Mountain. Choco Mountain was surprising for me, because I was like, wait a minute, is this even the same track? Because they changed this track a whole lot. Like, the layout is the same, but the visuals are so very different. It's just like, what is going on here? Like, it's different. It's like Choco Mountain if all the big companies mined it out. And the chocolate, I'm a little iffy on the looks, because like, I feel like the chocolate could have been a more colorful kind of brown, because as now it just kind of looks like shit. But, you know, besides that, you know, it's not a bad track. I think it's pretty good. I wish they kept the glider section from like 8, but, you know, it's not bad. Like, I think it's pretty good. I think it's an interesting idea to see like a track that's been, you know, dug up a lot, and see how it's changed over the years. I like that idea. A lot of people had that theory about how Maple Treeway is just Bowser's Castle in Wii. But yeah, so I get kind of the same vibes from this track, but it's not a different track. It's the same. It just looks really different to how it did previously. But I don't think it's a bad track. I think it's pretty good. And solid B. Solid B. Toad's mother factory. Let's go and put that in S tier. Let's go. This track is one of the GOATs for a reason. And like, it is one of the most beloved tracks to play on. The music is bopping. The layout, it may look simple, but there's a whole lot to this layout. Like, I might just look like a square with a little thing right there, but let me tell you, there's a whole lot to this track. And they added more to it. Like, there's a bunch of grind shortcuts you could do, and it's got the passion and heart of it still there. Like, it still feels like Toad's Factory. Like, when Coconut Mall made it to Mario Kart 8, a lot of people felt like the magic was lost with that one. This one, I don't think that's the case with this one, and I didn't think that was the case in Coconut Mall either. That was still a fun track, but they definitely could have handled that conversion over a little better. But with this one's perfectly fine. Like, I think it is so well executed. Like, the music is great. Like, they did take out that one shortcut around the water, but I don't know, they added a new one where you get to grind on, like, you know, steel beams, and, you know, I think that's fine too, because, like, you know, there's a lot to this track. I think it's definitely one of the most iconic and beloved, and no other place, in my opinion, does it deserve to be than S tier, baby. Bowser's Castle. This game's Bowser's Castle is so simple, but it's complex at the same time. And I feel like it pays tributes to the other Bowser's Castle. Like, you have the obligatory big Bowser like part there, and you drive through his mouth a little bit, and then it gets really fast. Like, it's really fast, and there's the falling, you know, brimstone and fire coming on the tracks. I think that's great. It has the traditional, you know, 90-degree turns, as you would expect from, you know, every Bowser Castle track. I think all of them deserve to have that. But, you know, it's just a great track. It has some crazy shortcuts. Like, do you know about the chain shortcut at the beginning? You can grind on the chains on the bridge and take a whole new path. And I didn't even know that existed until like a few days ago. Like, I saw coins on it and I was like, I wonder if I could go up there. And when I found out I could go up there, I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. This is awesome. And then there's that crazy shortcut where you can skip the whole turn. And that's one of the hardest shortcuts to do, but it is one of the best ones. And honestly, it's one of the best tracks in this game. And you know, it's an S tier track. Yeah, put that in S tier, baby. And now we move on to the last four. First up is Acorn Heights. This one, I think it's a pretty good track. You know, pretty good. I like the whole forest theming aspects. I don't know why I get Zelda vibes from this track, even though it's not Zelda. I don't know. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I have this over here.
Oh my god, who the hell cares?
But getting back to Mario Kart, I think it's a really good track. It has the vines you can take on it that give you a bunch of different paths to take, and hopping from vine to vine is very satisfying. And the whole glider section into the bouncing mushrooms, and where you can bounce on the walls. There's a shortcut you can take near around the end of that turn. I think it's a really satisfying one to do. I like the idea. I think it's pretty good. I think I would like the track Woody Woods a little bit more in Mario Kart 8. Or is it Woody Woods? I don't know if I'm right. It's the one from Mario Kart 8 where you drive up the big tree, but I could be wrong about the name. But I like that one more than this one, but I still think this one is like a pretty solid, you know, tree course. Like, it's pretty good. I put it in A tier. SNES Mario Circuit. Now, it could be just another Koopa Troopa Beat situation where it's like, oh my god, here we go, they put Mario Circuit in here for like the 7 trillionth time and they don't want to stop. But it's like, it keeps it from being at the bottom because they actually combined 1, 2, and 3. And I think that, you know, is pretty unique. It's a classic track, you know, Super Mario Kart, you know, feels right to have it. I don't mind it being there because, like, you know, it's one of those tracks where it's like, if you gotta keep one track that's come back for every single title, Mario Circuit makes sense to keep that one because, you know, it's synonymous with the first game, and you know, people have a lot of nostalgia for it, so I understand. But, you know, it is a simple track, all things considered. I do like how they added all of them together as one, and it's different for each lap, so that gives it some brownie points from, you know, being a total waste of a track slot. So, I don't know. I put it in B. Yeah, I'm feeling generous. I'll put it in B tier, because, like, you know, I like the music, and it is a classic track, and I love doing that shortcut with the mushroom where you go through the blocks and then you get into the boost panel, get those 2 combos in there to get to the finish line. It's really satisfying to do that. So I'll put it in B tier. Why not? Alright, Peach Stadium. A lot of people have been like, didn't you skip this earlier? But like, no, trust me, I didn't skip it. I was just saving it for later because, you know, it is kind of the track that plays before another track, which we'll get into later. But Peach Stadium. I think this is honestly a great track. Like, it has a Peach's Castle vibe from it. Like, the beginning on the monitor where it shows like the stained glass window, but it's Peach in her biker outfit. I'm like, dude, I could tell this is going to be a fun track. And it is. Like, so many boost panels. There's lots of paths you can take, lots of tight shortcuts that are really satisfying to pull off. It has nice music. It's very pretty, like Peach herself. But, you know, I think it's a really good track, and I have nothing else to say about it. I think it's a solid A tier. And now we have come to the moments that you have all been waiting for. The last track that everybody was waiting for, and they wanted to know how to unlock it. The fact that you have to unlock it was a lot of build up to it. We all know it. We all love it. It is Rainbow Road. And let me tell you, this game's Rainbow Road is like solid top 3 Rainbow Roads for me. Like, it's not the most difficult. Like, I only fell off, like, I can count on one hand the amount of times I've fallen off the track so far. But, like, I don't think a Rainbow Road has to necessarily be difficult in order to be fun. Which this one is a lot of freaking fun. Because, like, it's so freaking pretty. The music is astonishing. It is out of this world. It is so beautiful. The track, the way it looks, it is phenomenal. The big loop arch around the cloud, and then there's X paths you can take. The splitting paths you can take. It's just great. Jumping off the tracks is fun. And then it has a unique section for each part of the track. Like, when you go off the traditional Rainbow Road and then you go into the freaking serene crystal waters, and I'm like, what is this? Because, like, I was so surprised when I saw that. I was like, oh, this one's gonna be pretty cool. And it was pretty cool, like, you know, bouncing on the water and the serene relaxedness. I don't know if that's a word, but whatever. And then you get to the freaking blue Rainbow Road with the N64 train, and them throwing coins on the freaking track, and then you go into another lap and it's a freaking space station. It's a freaking Game & Watch space station that's like Mariokart 8 space station, and it has a lot of traditional stuff. Like, it brings back Super Nintendo Rainbow Roads, you know, tight 90-degree turns, and it has the rainbow thwomps. You gotta love the rainbow thwomps, baby. And then the last section is the heart-shaped bend, and that is definitely like a celebratory final lap, because I feel like it perfectly represents what this Rainbow Road is about. It's a reward. It's not a challenge, it's a reward for putting the time and effort and the ridiculous amounts of money you spent. And your reward is racing on one of the best Rainbow Roads in the series, in my opinion. I still like 7 and Wii's Rainbow Road better, but this is definitely a solid 3rd place. And it may go up depending on the future of the series, and who knows, we'll see where it goes. But as of now, I can confidently say this Rainbow Road is S tier. And that's it, guys. That's my tier list. And feel free to disagree about it if you want. Just don't threaten my life or anything. But, you know, thanks for watching. And I hope you guys continue to play Mario Kart World despite, you know, stuff that's going on with it. But, you know, I'm having fun with the game. I'll continue to play it. And maybe my opinions on this list will change in the future. I'll probably make an update list depending on, you know, if we get, you know, DLC for it. But As of now, I feel pretty confident with the list, and I'm curious to see what your guys' thoughts are. Tell me what your favorite track is. Tell me what your least favorite track is. And as always, I'll see you later, and take care.